What's up, guys? And we're back with another video, and this time we're breaking down those top 10 cards that you need for your collection, but it's going to be Amethyst. It was Amethyst turn, and Amethyst is my top color. I love playing it. I've played Amethyst since set 1, and there's so many great cards that have come out in the last 3 sets in this color. Now, the top 10 is always hard, so we're adding 2 honorable mentions, just like we did with the other video for Amber. And if you haven't seen that, check out the link right up there. Well, after this video. After this video, click the link there and check it out. Link will also be in the description to check and see what the top 10 colors in Amber were, and we'll be releasing more of these every day with a new color. So like we said before, set 4 drops this weekend at your LGS and the Disney areas, which myself and Prashant, we're going down to Disney Springs to pick up our stuff. And I'm sure a video will come out of that as well a little bit later, either this weekend or next week. So be on the lookout for that. But if you can't get to an LGS or something like that, they will be at the big box stores in 2 weeks from there. So be on the lookout. Set 4 coming out. But until then, these are going to be the cards that you need to have in your collection to make the strongest decks or have the best synergy or whatever it is from set 1 through 3. So let's jump into it. So as we jump into Amethyst in our top 10, we're going to start off with some honorable mentions. And the first honorable mention is going to be Chernabog's Followers. So Chernabog's Followers is a 1-drop inkable. It's a 2/1, and whenever you quest with it, you can banish it and draw a card. This has become a staple in a lot of decks, but we are kind of seeing it be hit or miss depending on how your deck is built. It's very nice because if you don't need the card, you can just quest with him. But typically, he's going to quest once, you're going to throw him away and draw a card, which is the reason why I personally put him right outside that top 10, because I feel like most of the times, one lore to draw a card, and you have to wait a full turn for him to be activated. But I do feel like he is a good card to look at because he is showing up in a lot of the control decks in that 1-drop slot. And as for that other honorable mention, it's going to be Kuzco, Wanted Llama. Now, Breezy's probably not going to like that Kuzco didn't make the top 10, but I do feel like he's very niche in some of the decks. If you don't know what Kuzco does, he is a 2-drop, he's inkable, he's a 1/2, and when he's banished, you may draw a card. So again, more card draw for the Amethyst, which is what this set really brings, or what this color really brings to your decks, but he has to die. And yeah, I don't know. He seems like an okay card. Again, he is in a lot of the control decks when he's being used, but to me, he just doesn't quite crack the list because there's so many good cards when it comes to purple or the other corresponding color that you're using, and I feel like he gets cut. All right, so kicking us off in the top 10, it's going to be Pinocchio, Talkative Puppet. Now, Pinocchio is a 2-drop, he's uninkable, and he's a 1/1, but where he really allows you to do things that you want to do in your deck is when he comes into play, you may exert an opponent's creature. So this really helps because you're able to tap something down in order to have them to be attacked into. So again, when you're using cards like Madam M. Fox, or maybe you already have a big Robin Hood on the field or something like that, you're going to be able to take down creatures that maybe they don't want to get hurt. Maybe they have a sad beast or something like that, and you can add some damage to it. He's just an all-around great card, and he's seen a lot of play starting in set 3, and I'm sure we're going to see him into set 4 as well. Moving into the 9th slot, well, we have a staple that's been around since the first set, and this is going to be Maleficent Sorceress. Maleficent Sorceress is a great card because she's a 3-drop, she's inkable, she's a 2/2, and when she comes into play, you get to draw a card. She's always great because she gets to draw cards, but not only that is she's a 3-drop, so she can sing other great 3-drop songs, and I'm sure we'll be talking about one of those a little bit later in this video, so just stick around for that. But all in all, she's been a staple since the first set, and I don't really see her going anywhere, especially with a bounce package and being able to draw multiple cards potentially off that card. So moving into the 7th slot, we have Rafiki, Mystical Fighter. Now, previously to set 3, we had the other Rafiki that used to do a lot of great damage with his rush, but essentially this Rafiki is a little different. He's inkable, which is great. He's a 1-drop, so you can get him down early. He is a 0/2, but he has Challenger. This card's really great because if you don't need him, you can ink him, but early game, you can throw him down and threaten to be able to do 3 damage to something on the other side. This allows people to have to really think about how they're going to be questing, whether they're using something like a Captain Hook or Smee. you can take it down with your Rafiki. So all in all, it's a good card. I personally don't use him as much, but he is one of those cards that's great because he's inkable. So moving into the 6th slot, well, we have a card that I thought was terrible until I started playing with him. And the more I used him, the more I loved him. And this is Merlin Crab. Merlin Crab is a 3-drop inkable. He is a 3/3, but what really helps with him is when he enters the field or he leaves the field, he can give someone Challenger 3. So Challenger 3 is pretty huge when you're wanting to take down maybe a Queen's Castle, maybe another big character. Being able to play him and give that +3, and maybe you can bounce him same turn with one of the mims. Yeah, it can stack up pretty easily and you can take down most things on the board. So I really love Merlin Crab for that reason, and I've really grown to like him a lot. He is inkable as well, which has made him nice because maybe you don't need it. You can throw him in the ink. Maybe you got to use him later. So, you know, it's just one of those cards that's going to really help you out to get out of really sticky situations. So moving into the 6th slot, we have our first location. Now, locations are brand new cards to set 3, and we see additional locations coming in set 4. But Queen's Castle is probably one of the best locations in Lorcana right now. Queen's Castle is a 4-drop. It is inkable, so you can throw it away if you don't need it, but it gives you 2 lore. Now, 2 lore at the beginning of your turn can stack up really quickly, especially because it has 7 defense, so it takes a little bit to take down. The other great thing about this card is its card draw. And as we said in other videos, card draw is king when it comes to Lorcana, so being able to move one of your characters or multiple of your characters onto this location makes it to where your opponent is not going to be able to quest. They're going to have to come in and take out this location, or you're going to start drawing a whole bunch of cards. So this card in general is a 3 or 4 of in most decks, and this is the reason why it made the list and is one of the best Amethyst cards. So in the 5th slot, we have the bounce package and where it starts. Yes, you knew it was coming when it comes to Amethyst. This is the best cards of Amethyst, this bounce package. And the very first one is Madam Mim Snake. Now, Madam Mim Snake is a 2-drop. She's inkable. She is a 3/3, which is great all around. Her downside is when she comes into play, you're either going to have to banish her or you're going to have to pick up one of your creatures and put it back in your hand. Now, if you're building your deck around this isn't a big deal. You pick up your 1-drop, you play her. You may maybe pick up some of the other cards we're going to talk about in a minute and get some benefit off of it, and then keep a pretty decent sized body, a 3/3 on the field, who can quest for 1 if need be. So the number 4 card, yeah, works really well with that snake. It is Merlin Goat. Now, Merlin Goat is the GOAT. It is one of the cards you really need because, yeah, it can gain you lore without having to quest, meaning the turn you play him, you get 1 lore when he enters the field, and you can also gain lore when he exits the field. This is what makes the GOAT so good because, yeah, most times you're having to play a creature, wait an entire turn for it to come back around before you can quest with it to get that final lore. But the GOAT can come right off the top. Maybe you're at 19, maybe you're 18. You can do some tricks there and gain the lore without having to wait a full turn for it to come back around before you can quest. This is what makes the GOAT scary, as well as just such a great card. So with those mims, like we talked about with Snake, he's a great target to give you that free lore when he bounces back, and then more lore when you play him again. So for that 3rd card, we have a song. And the song is Friends on the Other Side. This card is amazing. It was in the first set, and it's just kind of lingered around. It's a 3-drop. It's inkable, which is great if you don't need it. Early game, something like that, you can ink it. But when you play it, you get to draw 2 cards. Because it's a song, you can sing it. So we talked about Maleficent a little bit earlier. Her coming down on 3, drawing a card. On 4, singing this, drawing 2 more cards. Yeah, it adds up, and it's a really, really great card. So our number 2. You know there's 2 more bounce cards left, and the question is, which one is it? And honestly, I believe it's Merlin Rabbit. Merlin Rabbit is a 4-drop. It's uninkable, and it's a 2/3. When he enters the field and when he leaves field, you get to draw a card. So this is another one of those cards where you're getting value no matter what happens with him. You know, whether you play him, you get the card, or if your opponent has a removal spell, you still draw another card. And this is the reason why Merlin Rabbit is so great, especially with the mims that can bounce him back, gain those extra cards, and move forward. The reason why I don't have him in the number 1 slot is because he is not inkable, and occasionally he gets stuck in your hand. So All in all, I think he's a great card and he's a great number 2. And yes, this leads us into the number 1 card. And of course, if you haven't guessed it by now, it is Madame Mim Fox. Madame Mim Fox is one of the most annoying, best, value cards that are out there. She is a 3-drop. She's inkable. So again, if you don't need them or you get multiples, you can throw them in the ink pile. She is a 4/3. When she comes down, again, you're going to have to either return a creature card to your hand that you control, or she's going to get banished. But typically, you know what you're doing. You're picking up a card, you're removing damage, things like that off the card. She's coming down. She has rush, and she's a 4/3. She's a great removal spell. Even if you trade with something, it's quite all right. Or she can come down on 3, picking up something maybe that was small, maybe your Smee or something like that has some damage, and you're going to be able to use it to kill one of the 2/2s that are out there, or the 1/1s that are out there. So all in all, this is one of those cards that's just really, really great. No matter when you draw it, she's going to be valuable and give you really what you need. This is the reason why I have her as the number 1 card. So those are the 12 cards in Amethyst that you should own in your collection if you're playing Lorcana. The cool thing about Amethyst is a lot of those cards are pretty cheap. There's not a whole lot of really expensive cards when it comes to Amethyst. And of course, there are cards like Jafar and a few others that were close to the list, but not really used enough to warrant one of the top 10 spots. But it is one of those things where if you're looking to play, you want to be able to make a bunch of decks. These are 10 cards that are going to show up in a lot of decks. And this is the reason why I think you should have play sets of all of these cards if you can get them. But as always, guys, I appreciate you watching the video. And if you're still here listening, watching it, all that good stuff, make sure to hit that like button, hit a subscribe button, and leave me a comment. Just let me know. Maybe, did I miss a card? Were you hoping Jafar was going to be in the top 10? Let me know down below the cards I missed, the cards that should have been on the list, or maybe a card that you want us to see a deep dive on. Maybe you want a different video like the 0 to Hero video with a different card. Just let us know down there. Just talk to us. We're here. But again, appreciate you guys, and y'all take it easy.